Will we see
Afternoon.
Lewis Hamilton on the grid for the first race in 2022?
Let me be really selfish here. I hope so. This is just the start of a great rivalry between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. And Lewis Hamilton, in my opinion, the greatest driver of all time that we've seen on the track. I don't want to see him quit the sports in these surroundings, in this controversial fashion at the end of what has been a brilliant season that has been rather marred by and left with a sour taste in all our mouths, really, by what happened in the closing stages in Abu Dhabi. That's not saying Max Verstappen is not a worthy world champion. He is. But Lewis Hamilton would also have been a very worthy world champion had he won that race that he dominated for so long. Did he deserve to lose that race? Not in the situation and the circumstances that he did. And I'm not surprised he feels the way that he does. I'm not surprised Toto Wolff feels the way that he does, nor the rest of the Mercedes team. They feel that they've been robbed of a Drivers' World Championship, and in doing so, it's rather stopping them celebrating what is an amazing, historic 8th consecutive Constructors' title. I say good on Toto Wolff and Lewis Hamilton for not going to the FIA gala tonight. Why go along and sit there when they still feel such raw, strong emotions from Sunday in Abu Dhabi? Why go along to attend the prize-giving gala? I'm sure they could actually do with a break from the sport. And in time, with a bit of a break from the on-track action, from the hectic day-by-day nature of Formula One as it is at the moment, I think they'll change their opinions and they'll both want to be there in the first race, at the first race in Bahrain. Lewis Hamilton on the grid, Toto Wolff in the garage, planning another campaign to try and win back that Drivers' Championship and keep hold of a Constructors' Championship for driver and team.
But clearly quite a lot for time to heal, given that statement from Mercedes talked about losing faith in the sport.
Yeah, and they have lost faith in the sport. They're bewildered by the decision-making that went on at the end of that race. And I'm not here to apportion blame to Michael Massey, the race director. As I said at the start of the week on Sky Sports News, I've known him a long time. He's a fine man. He makes honest decisions as best he can in the heat of the moment. But there's been an information vacuum, hasn't there, in the preceding time from Sunday through to where we are now. Yes, the FIA put out a statement yesterday, but they haven't said enough. They've not given enough reasoning and an explanation behind the decision-making process so that we're all still making up our minds and opinions as well. And opinion is absolutely rife out there on social media, on various channels. Everyone's got an opinion. And everyone feels very, very strongly about what happened. Where is Jean Todt, the FIA president, in all of this? Where is he standing up and explaining and backing his staff as well, backing the people that were there making those honest decisions? He has not said hardly a thing about this. And that, to me, shows an outgoing FIA president who obviously has other important matters on his mind and doesn't seem to want to put F1 at the forefront here. They talk to the FIA about their championship being tarnished. They could turn around and ease some of that tarnished nature by showing us what happened. What was the decision-making process? Michael Massey, he has a camera on him at all times. His conversations are recorded. Let us see what that decision-making process was so that we can understand it, and maybe Mercedes and fans of Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton feel not quite so bitter about what went on. Let's talk of manipulation, of a championship being rigged. That is absolutely preposterous. That to me did not happen. But there's an information vacuum out there that is just allowing opinion and misinformation to spiral. And I think now Mercedes have said they won't be appealing, and I can understand that as well. An FIA Court of Appeal is not going to overturn an FIA decision that changes and alters the course of a championship. That just isn't going to happen. But now that appeal is not forthcoming from Mercedes, it is time to move on and to move on properly with the sport here. The FIA say, we are going to have a review. We are going to put procedures in place to look exactly at what went on and change for the future. And they have got to change for the future because the sporting regulations as they stand at the moment in some areas are causing too many grey areas. And what happened in Abu Dhabi was not the first time this season. We've seen those regulations being called into question. Don't forget Belgium and the two races there. I'll be very brief on this. Formula One contributes 60% of the FIA's income. It is about time the governing body spent 60% of their time looking after this sport that is enjoyed by hundreds of millions of people around the world and doing things the right way. And at the moment, things are not being done right.
So how do we move forward from here? I don't know how many marks you would give, looking at the season as a whole, how many marks you'd give the stewards and those who control races out of 10?
5 out of 10. To be honest, I'll sit 50-50 on the fence there, but I'll put a caveat in. The stewards should be paid properly for what they do. We should have a permanent stewarding panel so that we get consistency with decisions. We can't chop and change the stewards working to a collection of sporting regulations that allow for a grey area and hope for consistency. So first and foremost, let's have proper stewards being paid a proper amount of money to do a proper job. We have a race director who is overworked and is stressed. And in the past, we had 16 races a season. One person could do the job. Now we have 23 races for next season, and we have a race director that is swamped, is overloaded with work. He needs help, and he needs a team around him so that he can delegate some of the work outside of races that he's having to go and do, to travel to other circuits, to look at safety, to look at grading, to look at inspections of tracks, to look at other single-seater championships as well. No, we need a proper F1 race director who works only on F1. We need a new set of regulations that are drawn up by the governing body, not by the teams. And I think it's in no other sport do I know of that the competitors have such an influence over the regulations. The governing body should draw up the regulations, present them to the teams and say, that's it, now get on with it. If you've got any complaints, we'll hear them, but these are the regulations as we see fit. And that's how you then go forward. And you put the right amount of people, paid, proper professionals in place to make sure something like this never happens again. The eyes of the world were on Formula One on Sunday night. And yes, it was one of the most dramatic last laps we've ever seen in the Grand Prix. But sportingly, was it properly fair? No, not at that time. There was a mistake made, be it not putting out a red flag, be it not having the safety car continue for another lap, that the regulations weren't followed properly. But that drama is what we should be talking about, not one team, one driver feeling cheated and robbed from a championship. And Max Verstappen should stand on the stage tonight and say, I am a world champion, and should be allowed to celebrate without a cloud hanging over what has been an excellent season for him as well.
So you've got to feel a little bit sorry for Verstappen in a way. I mean, he won't care that much because he's the champion, and that's really all he cares about at the end of the day. That's what he wanted at the start of the season. That's what he wanted when he started driving these cars. But he's not been able to just wallow in a glorious victory because too many people have said it's not a glorious victory.
No, absolutely. And whatever side you're on, and there are Max Verstappen fans and there are Lewis Hamilton fans, yes, you do have to feel for a man who has worked very, very hard to be hoisted upon the shoulders of his team to celebrate being a champion. This is his dream, and he's achieved his dream. And as he goes back to the Red Bull factory yesterday with Christian Horner and Adrian Newey and all the workforce there, they should be allowed to celebrate, like I say, without this cloud hanging over them. And it's a cloud that smells as bitter and acrid as probably the smoke that was coming from the flares in Milton Keynes when Max Verstappen drove in yesterday. Yes, I do feel sorry for him in a sporting context because he has been excellent this season. But my heart also goes out to Lewis Hamilton because he's been as excellent, and it's been a brilliant battle. And we should be talking about the races and the enjoyment and the entertainment that they've given us, not a governing body who, sadly, for quite a while now, have not been looking after their most prized possession enough. And maybe the FIA need to take a long, hard look now and say, right, do we need a special branch of our organisation that just concentrates on Formula One? So we can get on with the great work that we do on road safety and mobility around the world, and actually allow an F1 department to run F1 so that we don't get involved quite as much. That looks after itself. It's an issue for the incoming FIA president. We'll have a new president in the next couple of days. Jean Todt will walk off after many years of hard work and service to the sport. But it's an issue that needs sorting out fast, and preferably in time for next season, because those regulations need rewriting, and they need rewriting fast and properly.
Crofty, that's why you're the man to talk us through 100 minutes of action every fortnight through the season. Look forward to you doing it again, hopefully with Lewis Hamilton on the starting grid from March. Thanks a lot.